the families?
We get very little from the state themselves. It's normally like a free and reduced flow through from the federal government. So yeah, they're supposed to be paying for those meals, but it's a lag. So I don't know that I've seen that come through yet. But yeah, I anticipate that. So if we're serving 10, 12,000 meals a week, that should be fine. But that's probably normally 4 days. It might actually be halfway close. We'll just have to see how that comes out. But we are buying that food. We still have staff coming in for that. So it'll be some kind of decrease, but hopefully not too bad.
Okay, then that's probably like a 3 to 4 month turnaround
for that income.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be a couple months sometimes. The feds aren't normally 4 months behind, but it does lag a couple months.
This is unprecedented time, so we don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, sure. I have some good news on the healthcare side. The costs are down 0.8% or $80,000 down. So any decrease in healthcare cost we'll take. So that's good. And activity count balances are pretty much flat through February. So any questions on the February Treasury report? Okay. So the next two items relate to each other. So for a couple of our bonds, the 2010C, which was a restructure bond of the 1999 construction of the high school, we have a couple of final payments there. And then 2017, we use a bank, BNY Mellon, for our bond registrar and paying agent. They've had a few issues over the years with BNY Mellon. We send them a check, they receive the check, but they're not quite sure where it is. Normally we can hammer that out. But this year we had a fairly large problem with them. They received the $5.7 million on December 19th, and I was sitting here on December 30th asking them where that money was because they couldn't find the $5.7 million that we sent them. So they found it at the last minute. It was pretty stressful because trying to wire, it was a mess trying to come up with a solution for them to find the money. And since this isn't the first time that we've had that issue, I reached out to PMA and Chapman and Cutler and asked about possibly finding a new paying agent and registrar for those bonds. This isn't a big dollar amount. Typically, it actually falls under $2,500, but Chapman and Cutler wants a bond resolution just with the board's switching paying agents. So what I'm proposing, and I put a memo on there, is that we move the 2010, 2017 bonds with BNY Mellon and the 2018 bond with UMB. UMB hasn't had any issues, but I think consolidating them to have sending checks to one place, and Zion's Bank is in Chicago. We actually just put our new bonds with Amalgamated Bank, but them and Zion's were on the same list that PMA. Those are the two banks that PMA sent me to use as paying agents. One of the reasons I'm recommending Zion's Bank too, not only because they're local, but someone that works there used to work at PMA that I know and trust, that I've worked with for many years, and I think that they will do a good job with that. Worst case, if we couldn't find the check, I'll just drive to Chicago, but we were sending the other one to Dallas, and flights to Dallas were expensive, and that wasn't going to work. So that's why I'm requesting that we switch paying agents. There may be up to $1,000 fee to get out of BNY Mellon. There may not be. I can try and get that taken care of. Right now, we're paying $1,116 per year for the two BNY Mellons and the UMB. The cost for this would be $900 a year, so we'd go down to a couple $100 a year by switching paying agents. So they take our money and send it to the bond holders. That's pretty much my summary on that. I don't know if anyone has any questions or concerns. I just don't feel confident sending money to BNY Mellon anymore.
When would we know if we have a $1,000 fee form?
I have to send them some letters about switching. UMB apparently doesn't have a fee. I would send them those "we're moving" letters, and then if they pop that up, I would just make a call and push them to not do that. But even with that, like, if we can't trust them to properly receive and deposit a $5.7 million check, it's just not. It honestly, to me, it's worth $1,000 to not use them as a bank anymore.
I like the fact that they're local.
Yeah, and it is a $216 a year savings a handful of years, we would be cost neutral on that too.
Right. Nope, that was my question also.
If they try and give us a fee, I'll call them and give them a hard time based on our experience with them. But we'll see. So if there's no other questions, because B is the agreement to appoint Zion's Bank as that registrar, and C is the resolution that Chapman Cutler put together, just put it stating by resolution that we would be switching paying agents. So they're essentially the same thing. They're two different voting items.
We need a consensus.
Yeah, we probably should end up on both the treasury reports and the paying agent ones. Can we get a consensus on A?
Who you gonna start with, Josh?
Go ahead, Sue.
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Mike Flanagan,
Yes.
Evelyn,
She's muted.
Chris.
Yes.
We'll assume Evelyn's a yeah. Are we okay not having her on mute?
She should be unmuted to say yes.
I will.
Just long enough to give her vote.
I can't unmute her, so she has to unmute herself. Evelyn, can you unmute yourself and say yes? This is a good run through for the board meeting.
You muted her.
I did, yes, but I can't unmute her.
Oh,
It says you can't unmute someone else. I can mute them, but I can't unmute them.
That's not fair.
Could she type yes in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah, she could. That'd be registered.
I think she's on her phone though.
Yeah, I think she's only on her cell phone, so she probably doesn't have access to unmute herself like that.
can we assume she's good? I mean,
Yeah,
for
We already have.
purposes, we don't
Right.
technically, of course, we always need her vote, but we don't need her vote for the consensus part of it
Yeah, I'm good.
till she figures it out.
We can have her go back to and give us what the vote is, just for the record. Okay. So then, can I get a consensus to approve the point the successor registrar and paying agent for bonds in 10C 2017 2018 with the annual cost of $200 bonds? Dr. Flanagan, go ahead.
Yes.
I'll say yes. Pam?
Yes.
Thanks, Julie.
Yes.
Chris? Chris?
Yes.
Sue Brody?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Evelyn, if you're able?
So if you hit *6, Evelyn, you can unmute yourself.
All right, we're going to take Evelyn as an assumed yes. So next item is C, resolution appointing a new registrar and paying agent for certain outstanding bonds in the district for bonds 2010C, 2017, 2018. Julie?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Chris?
Yes.
Flanagan?
Yes.
Mike Sterling?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
Sue? Sue? Should we assume Susie yes? Okay. So next item is item D. It's a recommendation to approve a substitute loyalty pay for a total cost of, this says $38,300. There were a couple transportation aids that we factored in after that, which would bring the total up to 40,800. Scott Rollinson did a memo on this. So basically our logic was, we rely on our subs so much that we just essentially shut off pay because they're not contracted employees. And we went through and calculated or came up with a suggestion of just a small bonus to, I know some of them could get unemployment or stimulus money coming, but we wanted to just do a little something for our subs who rely on so heavily during the school year. So that was kind of the essence of what this recommendation is. We did check with council. These would need to be paid as TRS or IMRF under the pension as income that way. But we just thought that would be good to do for our subs. So I don't know if there's any thoughts or questions or concerns regarding that recommendation.
Well, I'm glad that you're treating the people right.
Anyone else have questions or concerns?
No, I think that's great. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, then I'll take a consensus to move that item forward to the board meeting for D, recommendation to approve substitute loyalty pay for total cost of $40,800. Dr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mike Serling,
Yes.
I'll say yes. Pam Cook,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes, and Evelyn texted me and she says yes
okay, that sounds good.
on the item. So I'll let you know if she votes no or anything like that.
Okay, great. So my next item E, is a recommendation to approve a one-year renewal with Baker Tilly for the FY20 audit for a total cost of $34,900. So we went out to bid for audit 3 years ago for a 3-year contract, and Baker Tilly won that work. So we're done with that contract. I'm recommending a one-year renewal. I think I would, if the board approves this, I would have them do this year. And then we've had a couple like extra services just come in or additional requirements of the audit. So I might consider, or if the board wants to, go out to bid next year for that, but I am recommending to roll that for 1 year. It's the core audit piece is a 3% increase. In the memo, it talks about an engagement fee of $1,500. So they have, there are some audit requirements that have to do with activity counts that are supposed to roll in from GASB this year. But there's a lot of conversation that GASB is going to hold any new implementations based on everything that's happening. If GASB holds that implementation, then we wouldn't have to pay the $1,500, and our audit would be $33,433. But the max at this point would be $34,900 if the board approves this one-year rollover with Baker Tilly. So I don't know if there's any questions or concerns with that.
I think that's a reasonable increase.
If there, Mike?
If they're going to allow us just to do a 1 year and not do a 3-year extension or anything, I think that's perfect.
Okay, good. If there are no other questions, then I would ask for consensus to move forward with the recommendation to approve a 1-year renewal of Baker Tilly for the FY20 audit for a total cost up to $34,900. Mike Flanagan, do you want to go?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. Pam?
Yes.
Mike Serling?
Yes.
Chris Adriano?
Yes.
Sue Rogan?
Yes.
Julie?
Julie, yes, and Evelyn, yes.
Okay. It's hard to go in mixed order on that list on the side of my screen. I think we got everyone. Okay, good. Thank you. Next is a recommendation to renew bus washing agreement with Jared's Power Washing at a cost of $19 per bus and $9 per van for the FY21 school year, which is a no cost increase. I think we talk each year. They have never had a cost increase. We've gone out to bid multiple times, and they're the only one that bid for this service. So my recommendation is to roll this for another year with Jared's Power Washing.
I do have a question, Josh.
Sure.
This, I noticed that this was signed like in February before all of this stuff. Are we doing anything with him right now? I know he's probably not washing the buses like he usually does, but will he still be in business with all this craziness going on?
Yeah, so he signed the quote that I have in front of me is signed March 22nd, which was a couple weeks ago. I don't have any direct information about him being in business, but I mean, I would anticipate he's in business. I mean, if he's not, then we'll have to come up with a different plan, but we've never had anyone else bid on this service before. So, I mean, we'll keep in touch with him. I can text Don and see if he's doing any. I mean, we are running some buses, but obviously they're coming on their normal schedule.
Okay, because we're currently not using him for anything, right? Or did we have a contract with him for so many bus washes, or?
So, yeah, we have that weekly. There are a number of buses and times. There's a number of times per year. I'll ask Don while we're at this. I'll text him and say we're doing a bus wash for us.
I mean, why I'm questioning is because we had a contract with them. I know the CARES Act, there's all these provisions for all these different companies.
Mhm.
So I guess my question is are we taking care of him since we have a contract with him to wash the buses so many times? Are we just not going to have him fulfill this year's contract and just renew next year's contract? You know what I'm...
Right, yeah. So we are running some buses. Don's responding to my text now. I haven't had a specific conversation with Don about it. Are they washing buses currently? So let me see what he says in a minute here. But I don't think that they would fall under the we need to keep paying them. Don said not for a while. He was going to do them one more time, I think. So it sounds like they're just working out on an as-needed basis right now. So we're not having them already washed buses.
This is something different, but do we have anything with BMO about graduation?
Yes, so I've looked at that contract a couple times, including an hour ago. There is some provisions in there about under force majeure, under acts of God, pandemic, or being quarantined. I mean, there is a scenario that the quarantine's over by graduation, but I don't think they're going to technicality us on that. Worst case, quarantine's over and we can't use that provision. The base rent on that agreement is $1,500. It cost us quite a bit more than that with the hourly wages, but we wouldn't have that. So I think there's a worst case scenario we're out $1,500, best case, which I had anticipated we don't have to pay.
Well, the governor has stated that he doesn't want any large group gatherings till there's a vaccine. So we're not going to have a graduation.
I'll let Dr. Morris talk about that.
My guess. That's going to be my guess. And I think what I'd like to do is wait to make that final until we have word that school is likely to be, if school gets canceled for the rest of the year. So our seniors, and then we're working on alternatives to that as well to decide how we can do something for our seniors. So the high school is working on that.
I'm with.
Yeah.
As you come back to Don. So,
Does that work, Mike?
What's that?
Does that answer your question?
Oh, of course. I mean, I'm just wondering about the BMO. I mean, I know we're going to wait off to the last moment, but questions need to be asked just about, one, starting the process. I mean, you guys are busy, God knows, doing all the things that you guys have to do. But for those alternate ideas need to start being had instead of waiting for JB to announce it in 2 weeks that we're not coming back.
Agreed. Mm-hmm.
So I think from a contractual standpoint, we're in good shape on that. Whenever we make a decision, worst case 1,500, best case nothing, which I would anticipate nothing if we get to that. So, okay. Sue, did I answer your question enough on the bus washing. I asked Don. He said he thinks they'll be fine from a washing standpoint. We'll just work it out on an as needed basis until we're either back in or we're not. And then for next year, hopefully things should be fine. I anticipate it'll be fine.
Yeah, he's been our bus washer for how many years without an increase, and I just don't want to lose him over a few washes.
Yeah, no, if something pops up like that, we'll work it through. But I think it's okay. I know him, accounts payable, and Don have been having conversations, so I think we're all right on that. Okay, if there's no other questions, can I get a consensus to F, a recommendation to renew bus washing agreement with Jared Power Washing at a cost of $19 per bus and $9 per van for the FY21 school year, which is a no-cost increase.
Yeah.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Mike Sterling,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
I'll say yes. Pam,
Yes.
Julie, and Evelyn,
Yes, and yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Did I forget anyone? All right. So my next two items are similar, but slightly different. There's a memo on the first one, which is G for a firewall upgrade recommendation from CDWG. So it's a recommendation to approve an agreement with CDW. It says dash government, but we call them CDWG, for a purchase and installation of a Palo Alto next generation firewall for a total cost of $102,047.50 before E-rate funding and $59,541.30 after E-rate funding. So our E-rate percentage is 80%. You'll notice that we're paying more than 20%. E-rate doesn't cover every piece of this. Some of the items that aren't covered are certain licensing things, threat protection, and web filtering, even though web filtering is required on that device. What is covered under E-rate is the appliance installation and the 3 years maintenance that are included. So I think Aaron does a pretty good job with these memos and recommendations on there. So I thought he did a pretty good job laying out why we need to upgrade the firewall recommendation. He also notes in there that the state is going to begin giving away internet to schools. So we have one more year left on our Comcast agreement. So we would run both. I don't think they know who the exact vendor is yet. So we would run 2 pipes for next year and then evaluate from there. But he anticipates the bandwidth going up as we have all the Chromebooks up and running, and that continues to grow. So he would cover this out of his normal tech department budget.
Sounds good.
Yep. Well, I'll do the next one and then do the consensus after that. I can find what I did with that one. Give me one sec. Sorry, too many items tonight. Oh, here it is. All right, so the next one is a wireless addition and upgrade recommendation. So we have a spotty internet to the football stadium right now, which has a Pixelot camera and has a couple other Wi-Fi. We have some other cameras out there. The baseball has requested a Pixelot camera and internet, which we haven't been able to get the signal out there wirelessly because it would be expensive to do from a fiber standpoint. This recommendation also covers Wi-Fi for the gyms and the auditorium, because right now in the auditorium, if we have a large gathering, the internet's not very reliable at this point. So these would be access points and a lot of equipment for getting that signal around different areas of the high school campus. If you look at the end of this proposal, the before E-rate cost is $37,261, but the after cost is $11,313. So E-rate is covering 70 of that 80% of this total cost. There's only one item that's not covered by E-rate on here. And then he lists exactly what we would be getting for that cost. This would also be covered by the tech department budget.
With that firewall and the expanded Wi-Fi, would we be able to restrict internet sites?
Yeah, we do that now, and then that Swank streaming will help a little bit too as we narrow down or turn off the Netflix and have everyone go through Swank. But, you know, he put in there some basic recommendations of what your usage should be for how many kids. And that comes out to 6 for us. And I think we have 2 right now. So we'll definitely see growth even with narrowing off. Yeah, that firewall will be able to block all of the sites that we're required to block.
Yeah, we don't want a repeat of RPS this year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I mean, if someone clicks on an email, that's a whole different security thing, but this would be a firewall like to the internet, which sites are available and stuff like that.
Correct. I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, so we have a Palo Alto firewall now, so we've used this company. We've used CDWG and this filter company before too. So, are there any questions on either of those two for CDWG? So I'll ask for consensus together. I'll read them both and then just go around. So the first item is a recommendation to approve an agreement with CDWG for purchase and installation of a Palo Alto next generation firewall. The total cost of $102,047.50 before E-rate funding and $59,541.30 after E-rate funding. Item H is a recommendation to approve an agreement with CDWG for installation and configuration services of wireless controls with a total cost before E-rate of $37,261 even, and a total cost after E-rate for eligible products and 3-year service and support for $11,313.90.
Wow.
Consensus. Mike?
Yes.
All right, I'll say yes. Dr. Flanagan?
Yes.
Pam?
Yes.
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 Julie and Evelyn?
Yes, and yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Next is a recommendation to approve an agreement with Gallagher Benefit Services, Inc. for consulting services from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021 for a total cost of $45,724.80. These are our healthcare consultants that help us secure through cost negotiations, documental or stop loss, and help us work through any of those issues. So over the last 2 years, some of you may remember a couple of years ago, over multiple years, they had overbilled us a few dollars. It was a handful of thousands each year. So they owed us some money back. So we've been crediting that bill over the last couple of years. So that will end up this year. So that's where we'll pay an annual amount or a monthly amount of $4,810 for their service. Gallagher is a good company. They're one of the few companies left in town, and they bought everyone. They bought Williams Manny. So they do a good job, but they've also thinned the market out quite a bit in this area too. So I do recommend extending them another year. Any questions or concerns about that? Okay. There are no other questions, and I would like a recommend or consensus of recommendation to approve an agreement for Gallagher Benefit Services, Inc. for consulting services from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, for a total cost of $45,724.80. Mike Sterling, you want to go first?
Yeah.
I'll say yes. Chris?
Yes.
Mike Flanagan?
Yes.
Julie and Evelyn?
Yes, and yes.
And Cook?
Yes.
Steve Rogan?
Yes.
Sorry, say Chris? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Cool. Sorry. Next is a recommendation to approve the drive rate agreement for FY21 and 22 at a cost of $330 per student for behind the wheel instructions. That is a $10 per student increase. There's a couple other things that we've been working through with drive-through. In the current contract, if someone drops mid-year, they didn't receive any payment for whatever drives they did. So this contract says that any drives they do, they would just pay us $50. We would pay them $50 a drive, which I think is more than fair. If someone leaves mid-year, they shouldn't have to just eat the work they've done. And then I have council proposing to add a few sections that talk about insurance, background checks, and then if evaluations. Remember we had that FOIA from the driver's ed people. So there's a few areas that I wanted addressed in the contract. Them sending certifications over each year, and then background checks too. So I'm waiting on that. So when the board meeting comes, I may make the recommendation to approve this contingent upon council approval, but I don't think any of those things are huge deal. I just want to make sure they're in the contract. Makes sense. Anyone have questions or concerns about the drag rate agreement? Okay. If there's no questions or concerns, the consensus for a recommendation to approve the drag rate agreement for FY21 and FY22 at a cost of $330 per student for behind the wheel instruction. Mike Sterling?
Yes.
I'll say yes. Pam?
Yes.
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Julie and Evelyn?
Yes, and yes.
Sue?
Yes.
I get everyone? So next is an item that we normally bring at this time of the year for what the fees will be for next year. During the year, Mike Sterling and I had talked, I think you mentioned it in a business services committee meeting, about our athletic fee structure, particularly at the middle school level. So we did some research on that and found out that at the middle school level, we are the highest out of the 10 or 12 districts that we found. We're highest by $55 a kid, which is quite a bit. So, and some of us know that Rockford is going down to $0, Freeport's been at $0. At the middle school level, Sterling is at $195, Roscoe middle school is at $160. And I can send this list to you guys, two of the ones we checked, just so you can kind of see where our current fees are. At the high school level, we were a little bit more competitive. We were the third highest, but we were still, there's probably 15 or more districts on here. So in looking at that and trying to be better fall in line with the other districts, but also be fiscally conscious too, we're recommending that the $150 first sport fee at the high school come down to $125, and at the middle school go down to $80. The second sport go from $100 to $75 at the high school, and then middle school down to $70, and then free for the third sport. So at the middle school, instead of $250, it would be $150. Keeping in mind, our free students are free, and we are one of the few districts that actually reduced that rate too. So the reduced rate, I think, is pretty reasonable for the three sports. So then at the high school, it would be up to $200 if you played up to three sports. So that would knock $50 off the high school, which would put us lower right in about the middle range at the high school level.
Perfect.
So the total revenue, the estimated revenue reduction is about $27,400 is what we would get in less revenue. But I think it puts us in a better spot from a fee standpoint.
I'll give up my revenue for this year.
All right, anyone else have a question? Any questions or concerns from anyone else? Okay.
If this gets passed, how soon can we promote that for next year?
So all of these fees pretty much roll into the online registration, which I have a feeling is going to be more and more of a process. So we'll roll those fees in, and we can notify people for next year. You know, we got to talk about the third sport for this year, wrapping that up with whatever we're going to do with that, and then we can advertise that for next year too. So,
Well, speaking of that, kids who signed up for spring sports and paid for it, how does that go?
yeah, that's what I'm saying about this year's third sport. So we're just waiting to make sure the IHSA isn't going to extend anything into the summer on that, or that they actually call those sports, which they likely will do. But we're not going to get that final word before we talk about what the next step for that is. But I guess they would do refunds. So,
No, okay.
any other
Josh,
questions or concerns on that? Okay, so if there aren't any, I would take consensus on item K, which is recommendation to approve the Harlem School District 122 fee information for the FY21 school year. Mike Sterling, you go first?
oh yeah,
Okay, I'll say yes. Chris,
Yes.
Dr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Julie, and Evelyn,
Yes, and yes.
Pam.
Yes.
Can you see me? Ooh. What's happening?
You gotta hit your mute button, Evelyn.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Okay, good. So under L, other,
Do wait, Josh,
yes.
don't forget my yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I said you. Maybe I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. All right. Well, Susie, yes. So for other, I was going to bring back the transportation parking lot alternate 2 on there. So they had given us an alternate 2, which is the current northeast lot that we have. We was 82.5 to replace that, but we talked about a gravel section just to the south of that, which we park buses on. So they came back with a number of that of 45.5, which is pretty reasonable, but we would have to look at that. We would have to pretty much do those together if we decide to go that route. I'm gonna pull up hold on one second. My summary of where we are, because this kind of rolls into the conversation about the auditorium too for this year's projects. Just kind of a side note too for this year's projects. We have let them start some of the work that they can do and get in the buildings to get a jump on the summer. So right now, the paving base bid was 448, and we accepted alternate 1 for a total cost of 481,000. So we have to decide pretty much today, do we want to bring on alternate 2 and the gravel area? Because then when you add in the DLA cost, it's an additional cost of 136. If we accept that, that would put our total, and we got to talk about the auditorium. So if you take the auditorium aside right now, and we accept those
information tonight that you heard,
those paving sections, that would put our total cost at $1,565,000. So we had bonded 2.3, so that would leave us 734. We originally had estimated that we were going to use about 500 for next year. So I lean towards recommending that we do that, but I wanted to have that conversation with this group. That parking lot that we have there has a few years left in it, but at some point would need to be replaced, and we have that gravel section that we are parking buses on, trying to pave. We had some water and slips and falls.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this not at the back where we have slips and falls, and we probably said that in workman's comp alone?
Yes, we did bury the downspouts to the dry wells a few years ago because those were extra bad, but we still do have some water issues, and then paving gravel is an issue. It would be more convenient to have the buses park on paving. We can survive on gravel, but it's an opportunity as well to have them move that and be in good shape from that standpoint. So I guess I wanted to get everybody's thought on that too.
So not only would it be more convenient, it would be safer.
Yes, I can say that, yes.
sorry, microphone was off. So, and these are proposed, but if it comes in under, we get the under, right?
So the 82.5 was part of the bid, and they have gone back and given us a hard number of 45.5 on this, so we know these cost.
Okay.
There won't be any other unders on that, but that's a pretty big section. So 45 is less than I anticipated that would be. It's a pretty decent number for the amount. I don't have the exact square footage with me, but it's a pretty good chunk of area.
Okay.
Is the committee good with recommending to move forward with those? Should I take a
I would definitely say so, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So then, so this is under other, but I'll just take a recommendation if we want to push this to the board to accept alternate 2 and the additional gravel space to the south of that parking lot for a total cost of, so it's 136 with the DLA, but the actual cost to William Charles would be 120. Sorry, hold on a second. It's 45.5. It's 128,000 even.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Evelyn? Mike, did you say yes, Mike?
Yep, sorry, I was on mute.
So Dr. Planning is a yes. Chris?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Pam?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Evelyn, were you a yes? Can you give me a thumbs up? Okay, cool. All right. Thank you, guys. So next is the school maintenance project grant and the auditorium discussion. So I mentioned at the last meeting that I was going to write for the auditorium under the school maintenance project grant, which is a $50,000 matching grant. And they came back and awarded us the grant. I tried to write it as our match comes out of the capital project fund, which is where those bonds went. They said that we can't use that fund, so I had to tell them that we would use it out of the O&M fund. So I was supposed to have the auditorium analysis back last Friday, so I don't have that yet. I anticipate the full cost of the renovation in the 175 to 200 range. So we talked about the possibility of using a little bit of that bond money. So what this could look like is if we're willing to put in 50 from an O&M standpoint, the state would give us a free matching 50, and then we could, whether it's 75 or another 100, possibly look at taking that from the bond, because that in that situation, that would do the full amount that we would need to in the auditorium, from lighting, sound, mics, and then all the brains that run that area there, and a couple projectors on the side. So I think it's an exciting opportunity for our fine arts department. But until I get the analysis back any day now, we have to decide kind of where we're going with that. I would have to go out to bid before that next meeting, because whatever this amount is would be required for a bid. So I guess I just need you guys' general thoughts or consensus for, do you guys want me to go out to bid and come back with the plan next month? So if we,
I think this project has been a long time coming. For a very long time, it's been needed.
if we spent up to 100 in the auditorium from the bond money, that would put us obligated at approximately $1,668,000, and that would leave us $631,000 still for next year's projects. I think it's positive that the state's willing to give us a free $50,000. Even if we didn't use any bond money, but we just did the O&M match, we could do up to 100,000 there. So I can tier this bid too to give us options when we come back and then see where that goes. But at a minimum, we know we have almost no sound there. Our mics are compliant with the right megahertz, so we need mics and sound.
Well, you're talking about doing the this is at Ralston.
No, this is at the high school auditorium.
Oh, okay, never mind.
So right now, all of the brains that run that are mismatched. We have light controls. We don't really have up-to-date lights. we definitely could use some LED lights there, but our mics are on 600 megahertz, which T-Mobile owns, so those mics aren't even on a legit frequency. We had two of those small skinny Bose speakers and one of them went out, so we don't really have any kind of good sound for our fine arts kids that are there or anything that we do in that space. So that is our main community space, our main meeting space.
Well, you know, if you upgrade the Wi-Fi, you can do a lot of the stuff on that Wi-Fi.
That would help. I know Olson Park went over there and tried to watch a movie, and it was freezing up on them. So it definitely is a space that we could continue to even utilize more if it's more up to date. It's just really piecemeal at this point and not overly functional for what we use it for. So I guess I would like a recommendation or approval to get this study in, go out to bid, and I can make alternates or options if we don't want to do the full amount, and then come back with it and then have us talk about that.
Well, even if we do the 50-50 match, that's 50,000 we're going to get towards that we don't have to pull out of our funds.
Yes, absolutely. It's $350,000. I think that process was cumbersome enough that not enough districts wanted to go through the application process. I think because if you look at urgency, this isn't a secured entrance or some of that stuff, but it is classroom related. So I think we checked enough boxes that we really approved for it. So I think that's good.
Sounds good to me.
Anyone else have questions or concerns about that recommendation? Okay, then I would. So I guess I don't even need a formal recommendation because there's nothing going to the board. I will just receive the information, put it out, and bring it back, and then we can decide what we can do at that point. So, okay? Okay, cool. So then my other informational item is contracts under 2,500. There were a handful of St. Bridget tutor contracts, which I believe is Title I money for. A district.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. I'm not sure.
I'll try and. So I'm looking at. You're on my screen there, but the camera's there. So I'll try and talk directly into it. Sorry. Okay. So there's a handful of contracts under 2,500. Looks like there's 7 or 8 of them that are St. Bridget tutors, which are paid for under Title I. We had 1 district translator and interpreter. We extended our NRG Power Pay Load Reduction Program. I think we've talked about that, where we were getting 30,000+ back for cutting energy usage. That amount is going to come in a little bit less because I talked a meeting or two ago that our fixed costs have come down because we were able to lower those quite a bit. But when we lower those demand amounts, it also lowers the range that we can cut in this program. So even though we are efficient, we're going to save 80,000 here. That might cost us 10 on this side. But the program is still good, and it's only revenue to us. So I signed that because it's not an expenditure, and so we'll still get a decent amount of money from that. And then there's a TransFinder exchange of information. So it was really an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement. We're looking at, as we talk about part of our internet security, of getting more things to the cloud, and TransFinder is our routing software. But because of the tablet, and the tablet utilizes our servers on site here, we have to test out their cloud solution to make sure that our tablets still work. So in order to do that, before we switch and make that contract, we had to have a non-disclosure that, you know, they're going to have access to our data, and we might see some of their data. So we just needed to make sure that everyone's covered from how the data flows as they test out this possible cloud transition. So if there's no questions or concerns, I think those are all of my items for tonight other than next business service meeting. Does anyone have any questions on anything we've gone over tonight? Okay. So the next business services meeting is scheduled for May 6th at 6 p.m. And I have a feeling we'll be looking at each other on the screen again for that meeting. Maybe we'll be in person.
Do we have an executive meeting tonight? Closed session?
No, not tonight, no.
Okay, good.
No,
We don't have closed session for business service. It's usually just for a regular board meeting.
I get you.
okay, so if there are no other questions or concerns, I'll take a motion to end the meeting. I know I'm not saying that right.
To adjourn, motion.
Yeah.
Second.
Julie? Oh, okay. Julie?
Yes.
Oh, I think all those in favor say aye.
Oh, all those in favor say aye. Oh, thumbs up.
Aye.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night.
Okay.
Thanks, Josh.
Yep. Thank you.